and welcome to Real Talk with Odun. My name is Odun Akirele, and as usual, I am so excited to be coming your way this afternoon, to be coming your way this evening, wherever you are. I'm excited to be with you today once again on this show. I want to thank you all for always joining us, for always tuning in, for always watching us. We are so grateful, even though we don't get to say it often, but this is an opportunity for us to tell you thank you, thank you, thank you for listening, for tuning in. We got your messages. In fact, they are too much for me to go through. I had to give it to someone else to go through. Thank you all so much. On today's episode, we'll be talking about something that is very dear to my heart because it's something that a lot of people don't get to talk about. It's something that a lot of people don't get to view. It's something that a lot of us don't get to understand. The topic for today's show is Pastor Mrs. Yeah, it's Pastor Mrs. We are going to be talking to some Pastor Mrs. that have been in this, I don't want to call it a situation, I don't want to call it a condition, I don't want to call it a profession. I'm just going to say they've been in this calling for a while and they've seen all, they've had all, they've done all. We just want to get their perspective. We want to understand what is it to be a Pastor Mrs. We want to understand that they are humans too. They have blood flowing through their veins, even though at times we think they are superhumans that should just ignore some things, rise above that, don't react to that, don't behave a certain way, don't talk a certain way. Meanwhile, they are still humans. So our topic for today is Pastor Mrs. and I have guests with me as usual too. Like I said, their experience. So in fact, let me just give you their biography so you know. My first guest is Pastor Tom Faduga. Pastor Tom Faduga is the First Lady of RCCG Dominion Chapel in Houston, Texas. It's popularly called DCH. She's a rated engineering and IT professional with a successful 25-year career in the oil and gas industry. She's naturally talented and creative. She runs Enclante. That's a French word, right? She runs Enclante, a contemporary interior design firm. She has an heart to empower the next generation, and she passionately inspires young women to fulfill their God-divine purpose at every stage of their life. She is an avid believer in excellence, a practical and dynamic teacher of the word, and she has ministered at several women conferences within and outside the United States of America. She has been married to Pastor Bayo, a college sweetheart. I like sweetheart stories. They melt your heart somehow. They make you feel good inside, So she's been married to a college sweetheart for 25 years, and they are blessed with 3 amazing sons. Welcome to the show, Pastor Tom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sitting down with me. Thank you for doing this with me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ma'am. Okay, our next guest is a virtual guest as usual on this show. Her name is Pastor Bridget Edokpolo. She's a wife, she's a mother, and she's a daughter of God. She's born again and she's living life purposefully. She's a microbiologist by training. Ironically, can't you see both of them are like in the line of science? Coincidentally, they're in the line of science. And then Pastor Bridget runs Baker's Craft, a cake, pastry, and confectionery company in Lagos, Nigeria. She also runs a vocational training school, and she's happily married to my pastor, my father figure. He is my advisor, my mentor, Pastor Norua Edokpolo. She is a pastor. Okay, Pastor Nerua is a pastor with the RCCG, and they are blessed with wonderful children. She also is passionate about everyone achieving their fullest potential and being all that God wants them to be in spite of their circumstances. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this with us, ma'am. Thank you for sitting with us, both of you. Okay, so we are just going to go straight to the topic of the day. First thing to talk about is ministry. I want to direct that to you. What is ministry? What has it been like being in the pastoral ministry?
Well, the pastoral ministry is a call of God, and it's a very demanding one. but it's also a very satisfying and fulfilling one because it's one that gives you the opportunity to reach out to people, to connect to people, to be a blessing to people, and to actually see results of what you are doing. So it's definitely a fulfilling one.
Oh wow! So does it mean you need to have a certain passion for people for you to be a pastor or a pastor, Mrs.? They have to want to help people, have this heart that wants to help every time.
Oh yeah, definitely you need to have a heart for people. Having said that, even if people are not your number one passion, there are so many things you can do.
Yeah.
Because in helping people, there are things that you have to do. So maybe like some of the background work that needs to be done can also be done. I'm saying this because if you get married to a pastor and your husband is a people's person and you are not naturally a people's person, don't feel that you cannot be a successful pastor's wife because of that. Because you can use all your other talents and strengths, to be a blessing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome back to the show, guys. And before we went on that short break, we were talking about Pastor Mrs. But now what we want to talk about is the support that the Pastor Mrs., the pastor wives give their husband. And I'm going to come to you, Pastor Toon. How do you support your husband's commitment? In fact, I think we should ask, how did he get into ministry? Sorry. Because I think that will lead to how you get to support him.
Okay. So it's interesting how he became a pastor. Both of us became Christians while we were in college, very committed. So when we were out of college, we started working. Of course, we kept on in our commitment to Christ, and we joined the RCCG. We were both in the choir, and he was, I used to sing. I don't really sing anymore. So we were both in the choir, and in addition, he was the head of the singles ministry.
Oh, okay.
So, just committed, and also, I think he was also the secretary to the church because he's a lawyer.
Okay.
So, but then, in RCCG, you have this go fishing, that's what they call it. Every Easter and Christmas, let's go fishing. You start new churches. So, there was this December Christmas go fishing, and our pastor said we were going to start a church, and that my husband and I were going to pastor the church.
Wow.
And we were like, of all people, how could it be us? Of course, we were really committed in church, but we were not the pastoral type of people. We were very easygoing, very regular people and all that. So we were like, no, we were not even thinking of becoming pastors. So, but the pastor said, just go and start. We're going to post a pastor, to take over from you later on. Cut the long story short, maybe tomorrow we will bring that pastor. So anyway, that's how we got started.
Okay, so now go to the next question. How easy was it for you? Anyway, you said it was the both of you. So it wasn't as if he was a pastor before you married him. No. So how easy has it been for you to support him in ministry, to support his commitments to ministry?
Yeah, I when I got married to him, I pledged my support. That's part of the marital vows. Yeah. So when he became a pastor, of course, I started supporting him. The most basic support that I give to him is to be a good wife, is to play my role in our family to make sure that he operates from that stable platform, without distraction, because that platform of family has to really be solid, intact for him to be able to operate properly. So that's the number one support I would say I provide for him, playing my role as a wife. And then in addition, of course, I pray for him, I encourage him, I share ideas with him, suggestions with him. I use my talents, everything, my talents to help. Exactly. In the work, my resources, my connections, basically, everything.
So, Pastor Bridget, let me just come back to you. Then the question was supporting your husband's commitment to ministry. How easy has it been for you?
Well, it hasn't been easy, but the Lord has helped. Like I said, it wasn't something I expected. Initially getting married and all of a sudden with pregnancy, being told that you're now going to pastor somewhere. It was a shock. But when we made our commitment, we made our vows to each other, it was, it was to support each other and help each other become who we're supposed to be. And being a Christian and being a child of God, of course, I knew that we know that we all have a role to play in the kingdom of God. And if his role was to be a pastor, then I had to support him. Of course, all this is something that there's a difference between what you know and the reality on ground.
Yeah.
I knew all this, but it was still a bit difficult, because I was like, I don't like the spotlight. I don't, all those things. I wasn't interested in them. But gradually, it wasn't easy, but gradually I had to, flow with the role. Because if you leave a vacuum, at the end of the day, both of you suffer. There's a role you have to play. And if your spouse is not, you're not in support of your spouse, there's always a gap, and it affects other areas of the marriage. That's the truth, even in ministry. So there's nobody who can say, my spouse doesn't support me, and the marriage is perfect, because the ministry is part of the person. So I had to come to a point where I made up my mind that we've started this journey. We're going ahead. I know that it's part of what God has called you to. So I have to, and I believe that God has given me the grace to support you. So the support I need to give you, I will give you wholeheartedly, as much as I can. It hasn't been easy, but it's something that God is teaching me daily to do, and I'm doing by His grace.
Amen. Thank you so much, ma'am. So to take out from what you just said about support, now, invariably, you need to believe in your spouse's calling before you can support them. Is that correct? Is that a correct statement to make? You need to believe in Pastor Bayo's calling before you can support him. But in your own case, I really don't think it was. It was just like you were thrown into it.
Yeah, both of us were thrown into it. So I could say that in our own case, both of us didn't even believe in it initially. But as we were trained as Christians and in RCCG and with our commitment to Christ, just serve God, just do it. And then, of course, the pastor tricked us into it. He said he was going to post.
She said they tricked them.
Yes, now. He said he was going to post a pastor. But of course, we started the work, we were doing it, and it was going well. And of course, he never posted any pastor. But one good thing he did, though, I remember he posted somebody to assist us. And the person that he posted to assist us was a more mature person. Both him and his wife, they really supported us a lot. So that really helped us. So, but in terms of maybe somebody supporting their husband if they don't believe in their calling, it all depends. If that person that is saying that he wants to be a pastor is not even born again,
exactly.
How can you support him?
Like when you were cutting, you thought the person was born again, and the person said, okay, I'm a pastor, and the person will call you to pray, you pray and read the Bible together, you were doing everything Christ-like together. Yes. But then after marriage, you now find out that the lifestyle of this person is not
Wow, yeah. So I would say, if you do not believe in if your husband comes and says, I want to be a pastor, and you don't feel like he should be a pastor, you don't feel like you want like that responsibility and all that. It all depends. I would say, if you know that he's a Christian still, you understand, he's a Christian, he's a child of God, but you haven't really yet connected to that vision of being a pastor, support him still. Support him the best you can. If he's a Christian and you still don't think that he should be a pastor, I would say go ahead and support him. Because the fact that you don't feel it yet does not mean that God is not calling him. And if you because you should still support him as your husband, because you made that vow, to support him, But of course, you would not support him to sin, because somebody who is fake, that is sin. Somebody who is fake and wants to defraud people, there's no how you can be covering for him and be going ahead to defraud people. But if he's a genuine Christian, but you just don't feel that you should be a pastor, but he feels that God is calling him to be a pastor, give him your support and pray to God to help you. It could be tough, because even when you believe in his calling as a pastor, it's still not an easy thing. Yeah. So when you don't believe, it is even tougher. But God can grant you the grace. And as things unfold, you pray for him, pray for yourself, and as things things will unfold and everything will fall in line. If truly he should be a pastor, God will speak to you along the line. And if he shouldn't be a pastor, God will speak to him too, and he will not be anymore.
All right, thank you. So Pastor Bridget, what we just talked about how easy it is for you to support your spouse when you don't believe in their calling. What's your own opinion?
Well, it's not easy, but the first of all, why don't you believe in their call? Why don't you believe in his calling? That's the question that should be asked. What's the reason behind
like
it?
The example I just gave of you, you met this guy, you said I'm a pastor, and then everything you were doing while courtship was pointing to that fact. But after marriage, you found out that the person, his lifestyle is totally different from what you knew before marriage. Like, you don't even think the person is a born-again Christian, not to talk about him being a pastor. But then he keeps asking for your support.
They say the wives, spouses are the ones that know each other the most. Mm-hmm. When you have gone into the marriage and you can see that the person is a fraud, mm-hmm. then there's no basis for supporting a person, because you can see that there's no, there's a difference between someone who is still growing and trying to, mm-hmm. find his feet and has a pastoral calling. Of course, there'll be many mistakes, and somebody who is deliberately continuing in sin and still insisting that he has a pastoral calling. And when I'm talking about continuing in sin, pastors are not perfect, but there are some basic things that you see, and you know that this one is not even close at all. It's like an unbeliever. Then you can't, all you can do is keep praying that the Lord will touch him, but not support to do evil. You cannot just remember Ananias and Sapphira, how God dealt with them, and both of them were killed. So it's the same thing. You cannot decide to defraud. Your husband cannot be defrauding people. When I'm saying defraud now, I don't mean just money. You defraud people when you are pretending to be what you are not. You can't support him to defraud people and lie to them. You can't do that, because if you do that, the wrath of God is on both of you. But it's different from supporting somebody who is still growing as a child of God, and one mistake or the other, and you work together and you grow together. That's a totally different ballgame.
All right, thank you, so much. So now, when I was going through your biographies, I saw you both have careers. You are an engineer and an IT professional. You are a microbiologist. So my next question is, how do you balance it all? How do you balance your ministry, your career, the home front? Because at times I feel the demand placed on women at times are, they're exorbitant. So, Pastor Tom, how did you balance everything?
Well, I think the most important thing is being intentional about balancing it. You have to be intentional about it, because if you just let things go, your whole life will just be scattered and very stressful. So you have to be intentional and say that, well, I really need to balance all these things. I have to, put things in perspective and put things in order of priority, family first, and all that. And also, managing expectations. You have to manage expectations of people. Let people know who you are and be yourself. With time, people will accept you for who you are, and they will not be expecting things that you cannot. They won't expect you to do magic. They won't expect you to do things you cannot do. And also delegate, things that could be delegated. I think those are the ways to balance stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So, Pastor Bridget, same question to you. How have you been able to balance microbiologists, children, husband, ministry, church members? At times it's a lot. So, how have you been able to balance it all?
It's a lot, really. But like Pastor Toon said, you have to be intentional. You have to prioritize. Yes, if you give the impression, another thing is letting people know that you are not superwoman. You can't attend all the church programs and be a mother and be a wife and do your business. Everything, you can't do everything. So you don't try to be, what will people say? Because of that, you let one aspect of your family's life suffer. So it's something that you have to be intentional about and decide the things that are important and give them priority. Give them priority. What's important? Your children are important. How they turn out is important. Just like the ministry. if you don't attend one particular program, what's going to happen? What if you're being present all the time? Is it really effective? Is it important? Are there other things that you could have been doing with your time? Yes, we're supposed to be there to support our husbands and all that, but how do I have to manage? It's like managing all my stakeholders. Let me use that word. My children are stakeholders. My husband is a stakeholder. I also have to be fulfilled, as a human being. So my business is not just about money, but saying I'm doing this and I'm fulfilled and I'm using my intellect and all that God has given me to do something. I also have to be fulfilled. So everything has to be, it's not all going to be perfect, mind you. It's not going to be perfect, but at least each area, each aspect is taken care of to an extent. You can't sit with your children from morning till night. Just like you can't sit with your husband from morning till night. You can't face your business and abandon every other thing. So everything, there has to be a balance. Balance is very important. So trying to, each day, what is more important today? What can I put on the front burner today and face this? Tomorrow, what else can I put on the front burner? So that by the time you look at it, all round, you can see that at least in this month, no aspect has really suffered. There have been lapses here and there, but at least all round I can say, okay, at least I can stand and say I've done a good job, or at least I've been there, supporting every area that I'm supposed to support, and also giving myself time for myself. It's also very important.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. So both of you mentioned delegation. So what was going through my mind is, after delegating, do you still need to know what's going on? Like, you delegated someone to be in charge of the ushering department, of the choir department, but then you still need them to come tell you. You still need them to give you information. You still need someone to update you on what is going on. Does that work when it comes to delegation? I'm throwing anyone that wants to answer. Anyone?
Well, for me, I don't think we should. When you delegate, you are delegating to people who you feel are responsible, to people who have, you feel are responsible and can do the job. If you have to delegate and keep looking over their shoulders, then you haven't done anything, because you give them the impression that they are not, they are not capable, and therefore it doesn't mean you delegate and abdicate, but you delegate and then from a distance try and see what's happening. Especially if you have put somebody who you feel is capable. Once in a while you check, but it's not something that you have to keep breathing over their necks, or else they will not even be able to, do what they are supposed to do properly. And then you give yourself more work. By the time you are jumping here, Labaja, have you done this one? Have you done that one? You are going all over the place as a pastor's wife on Sunday or any other day. It's high blood pressure is the next thing. And remember that it's God's church. It's not, you are not God. I tell my husband every time, I say, you're not Jesus that died for the church. Jesus has already died, So your own is just to do the little that he has asked you to do. Don't go and kill yourself. So for us too, as pastor's wife, there's a tendency to want to be controlling. Yeah. Sometimes I'm in church, particularly for the choir. I'm in church and I'm just looking at the choir and I'm wondering, what are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. I'm there. I'm not even enjoying the service. I'm not being blessed because I'm seeing something wrong that they are doing. It shouldn't be like that. We have to realize that we are also children of God. So let's come to church like children of God and also be blessed, not just trying to supervise and manage people.
Oh my God, thank you so much for saying that, because that happens to me a lot. And interestingly, my husband is able to still flow, even sometimes when those things are there. But I'm not able to concentrate when things are not going okay.
Exactly.
Maybe, anything, I'm just like, chill now, chill. Enjoy the presence of God, for God's sake. That's so interesting.
Right. Thank you both so much. So now, we're going to go to the second aspect of this talk for today. Let's just go on a short break, and then when we come back, we'll move to the second aspect of our discussion. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the show. Before we went on that break, we were having this very interesting conversation and discussion with two pastor misses. And like I told you earlier, the topic for today is pastor misses. And in fact, they've been pastor misses actually. They've been giving us their perspective about some issues or some questions that we have. So now we are going to move on to the next stage, which is pastor misses and the church members. And I know. That one is
Interesting.
yeah. Like when I was introducing this topic at the beginning of this show, I said we, myself included, placed a certain expectation on Pastor Mrs. We expect them to be humble always. We expect them to smile always. We expect them to be gentle always. We expect them to pat us on the back always, which if we are being honest with ourselves, is not realistic.
Yeah.
So now the next thing is the expectation we put on pastor's wife, on Pastor Mrs. How realistic is it, Pastor Tom?
It's very unrealistic, the expectation many people put on pastors' wives. Because a pastor's wife is only a pastor's wife because of the position of her husband. Her husband is a pastor. That is why she's a pastor's wife.
But she's still human.
But she's still human. She's a regular. She's not different from any other woman in the church, apart from the fact that she's married to a pastor.
Okay.
So all these expectations are not realistic. Of course, the way I see this is that just like every other Christian woman is supposed to aim at perfection, that is also how a pastor's wife should aim at perfection, you know. But she's not just perfect because she's a pastor's wife. So, yeah, I would say those expectations are very, very unrealistic.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Pastor Bridget, so for you, I know you to be a very, very, how would I put you? I would say a no-nonsense kind of a person, but I know you to be very direct and to be very unfazed about everything that is going on, the drama that women brings to the church most times. So I'm going to ask you the same question. The expectations we have, like we don't expect you to be angry. We expect you to just smile always, to just laugh always, to be God bless you, sister always. So how realistic is that?
Totally unrealistic, oh, very unrealistic. Because I'm just a child of God like any other woman, you know. I'm just a child of God. I'm not perfect. We are all together striving towards perfection.
Yes.
So I cannot I always tell myself, I say, yes, I know what they're expecting. I know people are expecting so much, but I can only do my best. You know, yes, I'm striving towards perfection, but I will not allow anybody put me under pressure to do what I can't do. There are some things I can't do. There are some, because of, another thing is that, you know, we all have a different personalities. Yes, we work on ourselves to be better versions of ourselves, but the truth is that you are who you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that you try to, in spite of your personality, in spite of some deficiencies, you try and work on yourself and say, okay, how can I improve myself? But you cannot be perfect. And so those flaws, those frailties will still show, you know. Like for me now, like I keep saying, I like my space. Yeah. So of course, you go to some churches and they say, this pastor's wife, she's very proud. She doesn't know how to. But, you know, I try very hard, you know, to stand and be greeting people, running up. But I try, you know, it's not me. Sometimes I say, okay, this Sunday, that's what I'm going to do. It's not as if I hate people or I don't like people, but I don't expect people to come and do it to me, line up to be greeting me. I don't really need it. So I find it, you know, but I've told myself, you cannot keep feeling guilty. You have to be your best, you know, under God. God is the judge. So I will do my best to, you know, do that which the Lord has asked me to do as a pastor's wife. Note that I'm not the pastor, I'm just his wife. So I will do my best, but I will not go out of, put myself, you know, go on a guilt trip because I feel, this other pastor's wife is like this, I'm not like that, or I'm supposed to be doing, no. I will do what God has allowed me to do, has enabled me to do. The expectations are humongous, they are totally unrealistic, but at least to an extent, you do what you have to do and you live your life. You just live your life and move on. Right, because if you keep trying to be all that people want you to be, you will never be satisfied. You will keep feeling you are not, capable, you know, you feel inadequate, and before you know it, begin to feel inferior. And nobody should be made to feel inferior. That's the truth.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. But you said something about you not needing people bowing down to you or standing up to greet you or, you know, giving you special treatment when you get to a certain place. So is it wrong for you to expect those things? Is it wrong for you as a pastor's wife to want to be, you know, to be worshipped and adored at times, like pastor's wife, Pastor Mrs. is coming, Pastor Mrs. is that, Pastor, is that right?
Well, I don't think I'm the right person to ask because for me, I just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that because I see a lot of those things as eye service. I don't know because by the time you get back and hear what the person who is supposed to be bowing and dancing all around you is
Oh
saying,
my
you'll be
God.
wondering, is it the same person? So I don't even have expectations. So that way I don't feel bad, later on when I hear, because when you keep allowing yourself to be surrounded by such people, they are like praise singers, and they will never tell you the truth. They won't tell you the truth. I'd rather have people around me who, yes, of course, I'm not expecting that people will just step over my head and walk all over me.
Yeah.
No, there should be mutual respect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I expect people to be honest with me. You can be honest with somebody without being rude or being overbearing. I expect you to be honest. If there's something you feel bad about, you should be able to tell me. I shouldn't be put myself on such a pedestal, allow people put me on such a pedestal that even if I'm wrong, nobody can tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, wow.
That's the danger of allowing people to, almost like hero worship. The person, remember the story of that king that went and said he wanted the most expensive robe, and he put people to be sewing for him. And no matter what they made for him, he wasn't satisfied until they decided to tell him that he was dressed. Meanwhile, he was totally naked. And he was standing outside and he was feeling that he was dressed because they had told him that he was dressed, and that was the most expensive outfit he could wear, and he was naked in the city square. That's what can happen to somebody who wants to always be worshipped and adored. It shouldn't be, because we are not God. We are just human like the others. Yes, we should be respected, but we should make ourselves approachable so that even when we are wrong, they can, people can tell us we are wrong, talk, we can interact with the people more freely if we don't have to be hero worshipped. It's not even good because sometimes it makes you feel you are more than you are. It brings pride, it brings arrogance, and it's not those things will not allow us enter heaven. At the end of the day, we all want to make it to heaven. That's the ultimate goal. So anything that will not allow us and make it to heaven, we need to cut them off. And I think that's one thing that we need to cut off as pastors' wives.
Thank you so much, so Pastor Tony, too.
I'm fully in support of her, please. Every single thing that she said.
Okay.
I'm not for all those, whatever it's called. Oh my God. And the worst part of it, like you said, is that some people do that sincerely because they
some people actually take offense if you don't.
Yeah, they just really revere their pastor, his wife, and everything. But some people don't revere you in their hearts. They're just pretending. But even for those who in their hearts really feel that way, I don't encourage that at all because we are human. And I just don't want to repeat everything she said, But basically, it doesn't help anybody when you do that. We are human and we should be able to be very down to earth and relate to each other very freely without elevating one person above the other. Yeah.
Let's move on so we can. Okay. So my next question would be: do you ever get tired or burn out from ministry? Do you just feel like this thing they're expecting me to do is too much, especially the demands from members? My daughter, my son, my child is in the hospital. I need you to come pray for me. And this person just gave birth. I need you to bring food. How do you manage? How do you manage all that? How do you do it that you don't get tired and you just say today, let's call Pastor. Pastor Mrs. is off duty.
Oh yeah, all those things. You see, there are some expectations of pastors' wives. We've talked about that. There are some roles that people just naturally feel that is supposed to be the pastor's wife's role. But those things are not necessarily so, because the pastor's wife has her strengths, she has her weaknesses. Like she was saying, she's not like everybody expects a pastor's wife to be a people's person naturally. But not all pastors' wives are people's person. I'm introverted. I'm not really extroverted. I'm kind of friendly, but I'm not extroverted. My husband is much more a people's person than I am. So I think the most important thing is for people to know you as who you are. And
no pretense.
Yeah, no pretense. No, of course, like she said too, you stretch yourself, to do certain things, like that's what life is all about. We sometimes step out of our comfort zone, stretch ourselves to do certain things. But you don't stretch yourself beyond who you are to the extent that you are now trying to become another person so that people will be happy. By that way, you just completely get totally burned down. So I think not just burned out, burned down. Down and out and everything. And that's not definitely where you want to be. So I would say be yourself, try your best, manage people's expectations. Get people who can help you do certain things that you know people expect so much. Oh, this is the pastor's wife, should do this. But you are not able to do that. You can get people to also help you, to place
and then
people
trust
who
them
are
to do it.
and trust them to do it. People who are strong in those roles. Trusted people, of course. You don't just ask people to do stuff to represent you when you don't trust them, at least to a certain extent.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. So, Pastor Bridget, same question to you. How do you manage being tired or burned out with all the expectations, and especially back home in Nigeria? I know the expectation back home in Nigeria is doubled because we are very understanding with the kind of work, the time work, and the timetable and all that. But back home in Nigeria, once they call you and they are taking their child to the hospital, you need to meet them there. And this person just had a baby, you need to come. This naming ceremony is not going on, you need to come. So how do you manage all that?
No, it's like Pastor Tom said, delegation is important. Initially, yes, I was doing that, but as the ministry grows, as the church grows, you find that it's just not possible. It's just not possible, and you find that you are tired. You jump here. This one has had a baby. You are jumping. That one is this. You are jumping. You can't keep jumping for everything. You have to get to a point where you say which is more important. What are the things I can delegate peace quietly and just so that I can be at peace. The fact that you're a pastor's wife does not mean that you have to be with everybody in the hospital. You have to visit everybody that had a baby. You have to be at every wedding. No, you can't. It's not possible. Except it's a church of 20 people, then fine. But if it's a church that's quite large, you can't be. And the thing is that you have people beyond the people in church. You have your networks outside. You have people you have met on the job. You have other people. You have other relationships. You have family and all that. So you can't allow yourself to. I don't allow myself to get to the point where it's almost as if I want to give up. No. When I see that it's getting to that point, then I pull back and say, what is more important? Yes, some people complain, I know, but I keep saying that, God is the judge. I'm not serving people, I'm serving God. So if I'm doing my best, but if it's not good enough for you, then I don't know. Let the Lord just take charge, because I cannot end up if you die, if you fall sick or anything. They will blame you. You are still the one they will blame and say, why didn't she take time to rest? Why would she just go? Why does she think that she's a Superman? Why couldn't she just, they will keep the same people who are expecting you to come and visit them everywhere. The same people that will say you should have rested. So why can't I be wise? Jesus himself, he said he went apart to rest. He didn't do everything, no. He didn't go everywhere. That's why he had disciples. And after a while, he sent his disciples out. He will stay in a place and the people will come and meet him. The disciples he will send out 2 by 2. He did that, and he's our example. So if he could do that, why can small me think that I can do all the work? I can't, And the fact that I'm a pastor's wife does not mean that somebody else cannot do the visitation. The fact that I'm a pastor's wife does not mean that somebody else cannot pray with the pregnant women or pray with those trusting God for the fruit of the womb. It doesn't. There's no place where it's written that this is exactly what the pastor's wife should do. We just grow into the role and take on responsibilities as we feel we can.
Okay, that's actually going to be my next question. Is there a laid down rules for how a pastor's wife should behave? Is there a place where it's engraved that this is you're a pastor's wife, this is how you should behave, this is what you should do, like your job description?
Well, there is nothing like that, honestly. Just like every leader in church, like if you see in 1 Timothy chapter 3, it describes what a leader in church should be like. It says that person should be a person of integrity, should not be drunk with wine, should be the husband of one wife, and actually talks about the wife. Says that their wives should also be respected people, they should be people of integrity, they should not slander, they should not be malicious and slanderous and all that. So all that applies to every single Christian. And actually also in the Bible we see in Titus where it said, let the older women teach the younger women these same virtues. Don't be slanderous, be faithful. So those are the things that also apply to somebody who is a pastor's wife. Having said that, I will say things like, and these things that I want to say still apply to every leader in church. Maybe in terms of friendship, as a pastor's wife, you are not advised to get into deep friendships with church members, kind of preferring
one over the other.
Yes, one over the other. These are your best.
Because some pastor wives, they have their own clique in church.
Well, not necessarily. No.
Okay.
I think some people assume that, you understand, because like we've spoken a lot about delegating. We've spoken a lot about all the expectations that the pastor's wife has and how she needs to trust some people to do certain things. So now those people that the pastor's wife is trusting to do certain things for them, they will definitely be closer. But it doesn't mean that she prefers them to the other people. It doesn't mean that she tells them her secrets. It doesn't mean that, you understand what I'm saying? So there's no how you would not have some people that will work closer to you than some other people. But that doesn't mean that they are your clique. That doesn't mean that you prefer them above other people. So, but I really think we should stop all this. Oh, and she's a pastor's wife, and she's a pastor's wife, and she's a Christian. That's what it is. Because anything that a pastor's wife is really not expected to do, any Christian shouldn't do it too. And she's also a Christian that is aspiring to get to perfection, to be better. Exactly. So.
Thank you so much. So, Pastor Bridget, same question to you. Is there a laid down rule on how a pastor's wife should behave? Don't laugh too much, laugh a little. Don't go too much, come back a little. Don't,
No, there is no laid down rule. But that scripture that says, let your moderation be known to all men applies to everybody. Yes, they say pastor's wife, you shouldn't be too flashy, you shouldn't be too this, you shouldn't be too that. But the truth is that those scriptures apply to all of us.
Everybody.
That place in Galatians that talks about the fruit of the spirit applies to everyone.
Yes.
So if the summary is that the pastor's wife should live like a child of God.
Yes.
Live a life that pleases God. And those things in Galatians, love, she should have love, she should have joy, she should have peace, long suffering, patience. With all those things, she can navigate and do the work, effectively. But it applies to everybody. That fruit of the spirit is not just for the pastor's wife, it's for everybody, everyone who is a child of God. So there's no rule per se, there's nowhere it is written. In fact, if you are looking at the Bible times, those women were seen, they were not heard. The priests will go to the temple, the wives were at home. I don't think the wives went to the temple, maybe once in a while when others were going to pray. Wives had nothing to do there. But now that we are in the time of, the dispensation of grace, we have more responsibilities, but there's no rule. You just do as much as God has helped you to do, as a child of God, serving your master. Not necessarily because you are the wife of the pastor. Yes, there are some responsibilities that are forced on you, but beyond that, we shouldn't make ourselves, become ourselves a name or a title that is not. We should do the work, what we can do as children of God, but there is no laid down rule. And remember that the same scripture guides everybody, whether you're the pastor's wife, whether you're just a brother in church or a sister in church, that says love, charity suffers long and is kind. It doesn't apply just to the pastor's wife, it applies to everybody. So there's no rule. Just live is to live like a child of God daily. Make sure that those things that we have been asked to do, those things that have been forced on us, those responsibilities, as much as possible, we do them as God helps us and in love and joy, and not allow ourselves to become, to take on, there are some people that it's almost as if they want to hold brief for God. This is what God has asked me to do, and I must do it. I must do this, I must do that, giving themselves jobs that God hasn't given them. Let's not do that. And for every pastor's wife, yes, there are general things, but every pastor's wife has to decide how far, what she wants to do, what part of the ministry she wants to be active in, and go ahead and do it. Nobody should be forced to do what she can do.
So now that will lead us to our next question of being able to please everybody and passing that message across. Have you been able, do you think you've been able to do that, to like let people know, let members know that yes, I'm human too and I can't please everybody?
Oh yes, I believe that by now at least.
How did you do that? How did you pass that message across?
I think it is mostly, I've never, like gone to
hold
the mic. I'll call the meeting and say, see, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, I'm introverted, I'm this, I'm that, I love this, I don't love this. I've never done that. But you see, when you are just yourself and people know that you are not fake, you are real, you are not pretending, you are yourself. With time, they get to know who you are and they get to see what you are good at. But then, one-on-one, I've had the opportunities to like reach out to people like in terms of, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to do this. But this person can help, can step in on my behalf to do this. So I guess that's how it is. So naturally, with time, people just get to know what I do and what I don't do. And then when somebody has a personal expectation of me, maybe they ask me to do something, if I cannot do it, then I can explain to them that I'm so sorry, but I won't be able to do this.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you so much. Pastor Bridget, same question to you. Being able to please everybody, have you been able to pass that message across? I trust you to it. I know you to a certain extent. So
well, I think I here in Nigeria, you keep being moved from one place to the other. So, it's almost like you have to start afresh to get to know people and for them to know you, and then after a while, when you just begin to get to know each other, you are moved again. Unlike Pastor Tom, who is enjoying there.
People have years to know me, but
so
then
everywhere you go, you have
to introduce yourself. Oh yeah, that's really hard.
You have
that must be very hard.
You'll be watching yourselves, and everybody, biding your time, looking at you are watching them, they are watching you. You have to they have to get to know you. You begin to get to know them, and after a while, I I'm just myself. You should just be yourself. Be yourself, a child of God. And as time goes on, they begin to say, oh, okay, this is what this person can do. She can't do this. You don't even have to announce yourself, and they will say, oh, okay, this woman seems to be strong in this area, and you do the work. And the thing is that one primary thing is, if in all you are doing, love should be, at the bottom of it. You are at the heart of it. If they know that whatever you are doing, they can see love. Even if it's a little that you can do, they can see the love. Then, but if you are just doing it and there's no love, even if you go and visit every member of the church. I remember somebody that said, this new pastor, we were transferred, and the person said, this new pastor that came, he has visited all the, I don't know whether it was all the workers. When Pastor Dupolo was here, they never visited any of us. We've always known that visitation has never been our strong point. But because we know that the strength that the Lord has given us, we have been able to dispense. We didn't feel bad. We didn't feel bad or feel guilty. No. Visitation is not my strong point. I try, but it's not something I cannot just wake up and say, yes, I'm going to visit 5 people today. It just doesn't come that way. But I can pray for them, I pray for them, lift them up before the Lord. So I know my strength, and whatever I can do, I'm doing it out of love. And God even helps you, because if your heart is pure and you're doing the thing, as unto the Lord will give you, the Bible talks about God magnifying Joshua. Was it Joshua before the people? It's like giving you favor before the people, because your heart is clean and you are doing the work. The little you can do, you are doing it as unto the Lord. The Lord will bless it and give you favor with them. Yes. That's what I believe.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. We have just one more question. I just don't know if we have the time to take it, because we have a few more minutes left to go. So let's just go on a short break, and then we'll be back with our final thoughts. If we can take the last question, we will. But if not, it will just be our final thoughts, and we'll be done with today. We'll be back. our time is fast spent. So the last question is, how do you stay passionate about the church? How do you stay passionate about the people? How do you with all the discouragement that can come with pastoring and all that, and all the expectations we've talked about, how do you still stay passionate about ministerial work?
Well, I think what really helps you is striking that balance. If you have been able to strike the balance intentionally, then you would have balanced everything out so much that you won't push yourself to that point where you are giving up, where you are losing your passion, where you don't want to do this anymore. So that balance is very, very important. And then, of course, also knowing that it's a call of God. It's not necessarily about the people per se. You know, it's about God, what God is asking you to do for people and for His kingdom. And so when you can keep your focus on God, that it's about God, it's not about me, it's not about them, and that will help you to keep all those distractions away, and that will help you to definitely keep your passion. Another thing that helps you to keep your passion is the results. You know, when you see results, when you see that, you see people share testimonies. Sometimes, like, I hear people, like, one happened recently. This young lady, you know, she used to be in our church, and she got married and went somewhere else. And then she was having so somebody was having a bridal shower, and she was there, and I was there. And she just came to whisper to me. She had been married for only a few years. And she said, Pastor Tom, do you know that all those things that you taught us those days, I'm putting them into practice, and they are helping my marriage? I was like, what did I teach? You know, I didn't even feel like, because all those things were just things you're just saying and doing and just serving and just subconsciously just, you know, connecting to people, to the young ladies and everything. So that was really, really a blessing to me. So that definitely helps to keep the passion going. When you keep on looking to Jesus, the author and the finisher of your faith. Because tomorrow God can say, you are not even pastoring anymore. I want to give you some other assignments. Move you elsewhere or get you into something completely different. So it all has to be about God, because He's the one that fuels. He's the one that fuels the passion.
All right, thank you so much. So Pastor Bridget, some question to you. How have you been able to stay passionate about it all?
First thing I would say, in addition to what Pastor Tom has said, is you know, going back to be refreshed, you know, taking out time, you know, and not allowing myself get to the point where I'm burned out. You know, if I realize that I'm getting tired, you know, go back. You know, Jesus said, come apart and come and rest a while. You know, sometimes we need to withdraw, you know, and just go back and rest and, you know, reflect and, you know, be refreshed. Because when you are always ministering, you also need to be ministered to. So look for a way, find a way to, you know, get refreshed. Listen to other ministers, you know, get refreshed, get, you know, those things that face the Lord, talk to the Lord about your issues as well, you know, take time for a retreat. And then secondly, not something that one thing that makes it easy for some of us to get burned out is, you know, being expecting too much from people, forgetting that you know, they are humans. We are also human, and we have our flaws. When we expect too much, it's like, you know, I did so much for this person, and, you know, look at how the person is behaving. It discourages you, it makes you weary. So not expecting too much as unto the Lord, and therefore not expecting that they are the ones who will come and they might never come back and say thank you. You know, they might even go and still criticize and say all sorts of things. But we are not expecting, you know, when you don't expect people to sing your praise or whatever, you're just doing the work. Then even when you hear something negative, it doesn't affect you adversely. You know, but if you will do something and you are expecting them to come and say, yes, this is what this person did for me, or you're expecting them to behave in a certain way towards you because of the impact you have had on their lives, then you get disappointed. So not expecting too much from people, and knowing that God is the one that rewards. So whether I get any reward, whether I get a thank you, I don't look at that. I just keep moving on. That helps to keep passionate. If we are looking at human beings, then we get discouraged. And of course, remembering that, everybody has a flaw, or I am also a work in progress. So that person is also a work in progress. When we hear negative things, not allowing them to affect us adversely, but just, moving over them and not taking ourselves too seriously. That has helped to keep, to keep the passion burning. So rest, taking time to rest, disconnecting from everything and resting, and also remembering that people are human beings, and no matter what you do, you shouldn't expect them to come and, almost like, you shouldn't expect some certain behaviors. Just whatever they do, whatever you do it as unto the Lord, like Paul said. If I'm doing it as unto the Lord, then I'm not expecting a reward from them. So whatever they do, whatever their reaction, I'm not disappointed.
There's also one thing I wanted to add to the other.
What she said.
Yeah, what she said. I think that as pastors' wives, we shouldn't make it such that the only life we have is about church. The only community we have is about church. Everything else is church. Because when your life is like that, it's easier for you to be completely down when things are not okay there. Well, this is what I mean. Because some people, because you're into ministry, you are busy and everything, you completely neglect your family. You don't talk to your siblings, you don't pick their phones, your mom, your dad, old friends. You've disconnected. Not that you deliberately did so, but because you are busy. Now what I'm saying is that you deliberately and intentionally connect to all those, your network, the old people, the people you knew that were your friends, even before you became a pastor's wife. Connect to your family, connect to your siblings. Don't let everything be all about church.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor Bridget. That question of it not affecting you, everything you hear, anything you hear, is it possible for you not to react to that person?
Yeah, so very possible. Very possible. I've heard so much. I've heard so many things, but you just you have to grow. It makes you that I said now I'm almost like a duck. When you pour water on the back of a duck, it doesn't penetrate the feathers. You have to get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, because like Pastor Tone said, not everybody. How many people will like you? A lot of people will dislike you. Some just for no reason, criticize everything you do. And that's why I try as much as possible not to listen to anybody coming to tell me this person said this about you. I really don't want to hear, because I know they will talk. So I don't even want to hear, so that I don't even have anything to be, to be dealing with, oh, I'm angry, or no. I don't even want to hear. But if I hear it's just in passing or whatever, I move on. So many. Is it what you're talking about? Those who will say things about those who will show it to you right there that I don't like you, and they will talk. What do? You move on. That's life. You move on and just still relate with them, still talk with them as much as possible. There are many cases now. There are some that I will even greet, they won't even respond because of something they have done and all that. But I just keep moving. After a while, they realize that this girl is not really bothered, and they relax. So you have to just keep at it and make sure that you don't have any offense against anybody. Yes. Nobody will come and the truth is that bitterness affects you, not that person. So you should not. I cannot lie. I can't even. There's no place for bitterness in my heart. I can't allow it. I can't allow malice in my heart, because I'm the one who is affected, and I won't allow anybody carry his wahala and come and put. Why will I allow somebody's wahala into my space? No. So I just ignore them and move on. Although I don't speak evil of them, but if they decide to speak evil of me, well, too bad. Too bad. We move on. And remember that our interaction is for a while. After a while, people move on. They move on. You move on. So life goes on. It's maturity, really.
Oh wow! Thank you both so much. We've learned a lot. And so, Pastor Tom, can you just give us your final thoughts about everything we've said today? Your final thoughts to the members, to the pastor's wife that are upcoming, like you.
Okay, well, I think I will talk to the pastor's wives first. I will just say, take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. Like Pastor Bridget was saying, that if anything happens to you, the same people who have been demanding your time, who have been criticizing you, who have been saying you are not doing enough, they are the same ones that are going to criticize you for not taking care of yourself. So please take care of yourself. Get time to rest. Focus on, yourself and God's purpose about your life, because you are there to support your husband, but God also has a purpose for you, your life as a person. So give time, to fulfill God's purpose for your life. And then to the members, I would say pastors' wives are human.
Yes.
Just like the pastors are human too. The only thing that makes them different is that they married somebody whose position is pastor. And if tomorrow that person chooses not to be a pastor again, they don't become like you. They're not a pastor's wife. So that title of pastor's wife does not do a magical work that automatically changes somebody into a completely different person. So please, let's try and be more understanding towards our pastors' wives and know that they are just Christians like us who are striving to grow, to grow deeper in Christ, and to just like you, to become, that perfect person that God wants us to become.
Right. Thank you so much, Pastor Tom. So, Pastor Bridget, same thing to you. Your final thoughts, ma'am.
Yes. To the pastor's wife, I would just say, be yourself. Be the best version of yourself. There's no point. There's no law as to what you should do as a pastor's wife. You just find your own. Carve a niche for yourself. Find what works for you. Of course, don't abdicate. Do something, but don't allow yourself to be intimidated by stories or other pastors' wives you see around you. Just be the best version of yourself. Do the work as unto God. Remember, I always remind myself that this work is unto the Lord. I'm doing it as unto the Lord, not any man. So no man should be a judge over me. So do the work as unto the Lord. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't feel inferior because you cannot preach like Mrs. This, or you cannot pray like the other person, or you are not, some people said, this woman is a prayer warrior, you're not a prayer warrior, so because of that, no. Be yourself. God knew that you had everything in you to fulfill that role. That's why he made your husband a pastor. So everything, whatever you need to be a pastor's wife, he has already placed it in you. So just use it the way he has given it to you, and be your best self. And also remember to rest and take care of yourself. Don't neglect your family. Because at the end of the day, with all these things we are saying, pastor's wife, family is so important. Family is what will be with you at the end of the day. When you retire, all those people will be gone. So your family, your children, your husband, your siblings, your nephews, your nieces, don't neglect family. It's so important. And then to the church members, like Pastor Tom said, we are children of God like you. We are children of God who happen to be married to pastors. We are also work in progress. We are not perfect, and we cannot be everything in the church. We can only do as much as the Lord enables us to do. So just embrace us as we are and pray for us. Pray for us. We need prayers more than any other thing.
Yeah.
So pray for us.
Oh wow, thank you so much. My final thoughts will be, like the boy just said, they are humans. To the pastor's wife, the members too are humans. So don't say they are talking about me, someone says something about me, I've stopped greeting the person, I don't want to relate to the person anymore. The person is a human like you. Same thing to the members, the pastor's wife are women. And usually women, things get to us faster than anything. And our natural instinct is to react to things. So the maturity, like Pastor, both of them said, is to not let it, to try as much as possible not to let it get to you. So we are all children of God. I think that should be our perspective. We are all children of God. And at the same time, we are all human. We can sleep. We can make mistakes. We can do things in error. We cannot get it right all the time. And nobody can please everybody. I can't please you all the time. You can't please me all the time. Even my siblings. We butt head at times because we cannot please ourselves. So not to talk about people that are coming from every walks of life. So if we can see each other that way as children of God and then human, then I think live and let's live. You know, we all get to understand ourselves. So I want to thank our guests. Thank you so much, Pastor Tom. Thank you for doing this with us. It's been interesting. It's been, wow, educative. Thank you so much, man. Pastor Bridget, wow, we are so glad we finally had a productive time with you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show. And in regards to my family, to my people, I miss them so much.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Thank you so
much. Pastor Tom, good to see you too.
So good to see you. Oh my God.
All right, guys, that's it for the show today. We've gone far, way more than time. But we'll be coming your way next week for another episode of RealTALK with Odun. But before I go, we've been getting your questions. I'm sorry if we've not answered all your questions or replied all the messages. In fact, they are too much that someone had to take out the time to get into that inbox and go through the messages. But we will get to it and we'll get back to you. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Glimpse Extra. And we actually have an app. I've told you about the app before. You can download our app. It's on Android, it's on iOS, Glimpse X. For the app, it's Glimpse X, no extra. Just Glimpse with an X, a letter X. So you can download it on Android, you can download it on iOS. And then you can like us, you can subscribe, you can follow our YouTube channel. Like I said, you can follow RealTALK with Odun on Instagram. You can like our page on Facebook. In fact, we're all over social media. So do that. Like I usually say, give us a thumbs up. You know, we are getting your mail, but the thumbs up too will work. So we know we are doing something right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And until we come your way the same time next week, my name is still Odun Akerele. And like I used to say, I'm still a sister, I'm still a friend, I'm still a daughter to somebody. In fact, yesterday was my mom's birthday, so shout out to my mom. Happy birthday to you, Mama. I love you so much. So until next week when we come your way, I still remain Odun Akerele. See you next time. Bye.